Good morning. Good morning. So last night when I went to bed, it seemed like Riley was on the outs. But however, the house changes every second. The house changes every second as the coin flips. So it's always a funny thing. Like I go to bed, I wake up, I check Twitter, I watch a little bit of the feeds and see what's up. Woke up this morning, checked the feed clips. It seemed like by the end of the night, by the time Riley went to bed, she was pretty much resolved that she's going home. Matt was professing his crush to her, and people were crying. Like Jag seemed to feel like it's probably over. Blue seemed to think it's over. Sari had some conversations with Sari and Izzy had some conversations with Riley and Blue, and it was just like Sari was kind of telling her, "You put yourself in this position," and in a sense, it's true. But what Riley doesn't know is that keeping her was never a priority to what she calls the other side. Anything that they were going to be doing, whether it was keeping her or keeping Cameron, was for the sake of their own game. They were not concerned with whether Riley stays in the house or not. So it was like Riley had made a compelling enough argument for them to go around the house and then work on flipping the votes, and they had flipped the votes. And it seemed like Riley was going to stay as of 2 days ago. Um, Riley talks too much, so she shot herself in the foot. And they flipped back, and they were like, this time, this is where we're staying. There's a conversation that Sari, as a smart person she is, had with Hisam to tell him that the votes had been flipping back and forth. Because I know that she's probably thinking ahead, like, what if Hisam finds out? Because, a lot of the people in this house are chatty patty. So I'm sure that she was like, in the event that Hisam finds out, and then let's say he wins the power veto or something, or anything could happen. I don't want him to be mad at me. Like, he could be mad at the others, but I don't want him to be mad at me. So that's what was happening there. There was a long conversation with Jared and Blue that I just finished watching. Y'all can't deny anymore that there's something brewing there, because they're literally talking about it. Now, whether it would work outside of the house, I can only make guesses, even though I'm 100% right on every guess that I've made since I started watching Big Brother. That doesn't mean that I will be 100% right forever. I do see a lot of potential like red flags with that outside of the house. Yeah, I was really listening to their conversation. It was quite long, and it was the first time they talked. They had been making indirect statements for some time and just making like flirtatious but indirect statements. So last night they were sitting down and they were talking about outside of the house and like what it would be like for them outside of the house. Jared told Blue that he has a secret that he can't tell anybody that he thinks for sure is going to impact what she thinks of him. And I'm assuming the secret is Sari. I mean, it could be something else, but I'm assuming that that's the secret, is the whole thing with Sari, and he hopes that she doesn't feel angry being lied to or whatever. So they asked each other if they have somebody outside of the house. Um, Jared said that he kind of had somebody, but then they mutually agreed that, it's not, now that he's going into the house, they're single basically. Like they're not together because he's going in the house, and who knows what's going to happen from there. Now on the other side, he asked her if she had anyone, and she was like, so he said, okay, what does that mean? And she was just like, it means that I met somebody 2 weeks before coming into the house, and it was the worst possible timing for me to meet him. And Jared was like, oh, okay. And then she said she saw him. I think she said she saw him an hour before she left for the Big Brother house or something like that. And then Jared was pressing her like, did y'all hook up? And she was like, I don't feel comfortable answering that question. And he said, well, for asking that question, my reasoning for asking that question is because if it was a thing where you and that person hooked up, then I assume that y'all would resume when you leave the house. And she was just like, what I can tell you is that if you and I become a thing, I wouldn't resume anything with anyone else. And that's all you need to know. And he's like, you can't answer my question, bro. Like, you can't answer my question. You can't answer the question. And they both left that conversation a little bit annoyed. And I'm already saying to myself, the compatibility of Jared's personality and her personality is a little, it's a little off to me, because Blue is like free spirit, go with the flow. She does like yoga, and she's one of those, I don't want to put names on things, and I don't want to have all these rules. And Jared really seems like a rule guy. Let's put a name on this. Let's put a label on this. Let's put a definition on this. Let's set the parameters of this. And I'm not even saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that it requires some kind of give. It requires, you can't turn somebody like Blue into you. So it's either you have to accept the type of person that she is or not. And I felt that same way about like Monty and Taylor last year when we were talking about that. And I said, I don't see them. I mean, they didn't even try outside of the house because, we all know what happened, Joseph and all that. But let's say that she had not decided to go with Joe, and she was like, I'm going to try things with Monty. I don't think that would have worked, because I remember that conversation where he was telling her all these different things about the type of girl he wants. Um, it's early, but it kind of sounded like Jared was doing the same thing, in a way, where he was like, I need to know this and I need to know that, because this would make me feel this type of way. And he's like, I'm sure that there's a lot of guys that are interested in you back home in New York. Like it seemed like there was some insecurities there on his end, honestly. And I know the house can probably play into that too, and also Blue plays into that a little bit, because Blue, she kind of likes making him squirm. Like, I'm not going to ease all of your doubts like that. I'm not going to reveal all the mystery. Some parts of it is just you having to trust me, and you having to believe that I'm not the type of person who's trying to lead you on or play you or anything like that. So that's what was going on with that. In terms of Matt and Riley, yeah, like I said, he told her I'm attracted to you and I have a crush on you. And she was just like, "Oh, Matt." She didn't really say anything back. That kind of had friend zone written on it. I've been there. I've been in the friend zone a few times. Oh, there was something else I was gonna say, but I forgot. Yeah, the floaters are floating. Um, Sari told Haisam that she thinks that the votes are going to be 9-3. 9-3 for Riley going home. And he was like, okay, I'm fine with that. And then he said, well, that's good if it's 9-3 because then we'll know the people who voted and then it'll be easy to put them on the block next week. Now, and he's basically referring to Jag and Blue. This is where it gets so interesting, right? Heisem can't play in the HOH. So, and Jared finished second in HOH last week. So imagine if Jared won the HOH or if Blue won the HOH. Because Jag is working with Blue. And game wise, even though Jared and Blue are flirting and talking and all that, game wise, Jag is Blue's number one. And game wise, Sari is obviously Jared's number one. So if either of them happen to win HOH, especially Jared, it would be like, what is he gonna do? Because he's been talking to Jag and Blue like he's aligned with them. So it would make no sense for him to put one of them up on the block because it would create an enemy out of that side. And it would piss off his side also. So I don't know, but then if like Jag wins, who would Jag put up? Because I know Heisem would go up. I know he'd probably put up Heisem, or he might try to put Heisem in the back door. So in terms of who he would put on the block, who knows? Like this house is so messy and interconnected that there's like we're only in week 2 and there's no moves that anyone can make that it's like, oh yeah, we already knew that this was going this way because of this. Like it's anything that they do is going to piss off multiple people. So it's just hard to be able to tell what the next best move is from here. And that's the update. I believe that based on everything that I've seen and everything that I've heard thus far, I will be checking the feeds when they wake back up. But at least from everything that I've seen thus far, I do think that Riley's going to go home tonight. I think that Riley's going to go home. And then it's going to be big. I'm so interested to see who wins the HOH because that's going to determine a lot. I don't see it as halves anymore. The house is no longer split in half because there's not two solid halves. Because after today, today will be the third person out, so there will be 14. It's not like it's 7 and 7. It's not like it's 7 on one side and it's 7 on the other side. It's like 5 here, 5 here, 3 here, 2 here. What was interesting, the most interesting thing to me was when Blue and Jared were talking and they called themselves a 2. And it's like a 2 in the game or like a 2 as in a showmance, it's gonna get tricky when one of those two gets any kind of a power, because right now they're playing it like Mr. and Mrs. Smith or something, like we're not specifically aligned in the game, but we're looking out for each other from an outside perspective. I don't think that the one thing is, I don't think that there's equity. I don't think there's game equity in their relationship, because even though Blue is not telling Jared everything about her game, I think that on the Jared side, he knows that he has to keep a lot from her in the game. And I know that he's hoping that when he tells her that and when she sees the footage of everything, she's not like, oh my God, you were lying to me this whole time, so I can't really mess with you. I know that's a concern. Um, and before I started watching Big Brother, I'll be honest with y'all. Before I started watching Big Brother, I was like, everybody just knows that it's a game. So those kind of things are not a big deal. But some people come out of the house and they're like, oh my God, you've been lying to me this whole time. Like, I can't talk to you or mess with you because I can never trust you, because I would never think that you would hold these things over me in the game. It's like last year. I hate to use this as an example, but it is an example. Last year with Kyle and Alyssa, where Kyle was part of, I think it was when Kyle was part of the leftovers, if I'm not mistaken, and Alyssa didn't know about the leftovers, and then when Kyle started liking her, he was like, hey, I have to tell you something. Like, I'm part of this alliance. It's called the Leftovers. And she was like, oh my God, like, I can't be with you because you've been lying to me this whole time, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, even though I didn't tell you about it, I've been protecting you as much as I can. And she was just like, but you're not even working with me. Like, it's so there's no guarantee on how Blue is gonna react to that. Again, if I had to guess, which is part of the fun of the game for me, like just guessing and figuring things out, I think that she would be a little bit mad, but I think that it's a forgivable thing that she would understand with an off-camera conversation or multiple off-camera conversations. Now, like I said earlier, I think the bigger thing is not even would she be mad about that secret. It's like I see a little bit of controlling aspects of his personality, and I see her as somebody who is like, let me be like a butterfly, and just trust me that I'm for you, and you don't have to interrogate me. You don't have to ask a tremendous amount of details. You just have to love me as is and let me be me and let me choose you and show you, who I am or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. It makes sense to me. But yeah, we're coming to eviction night. Eviction is at the episode is at 9 o'clock p.m. And hopefully my aim, and I should be able to, will be to hop on here at 10 p.m. when the episode completes and concludes and have a post episode wrap up. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope everyone has an amazing day. And as I look for my outro, I don't know what I did with my outro. Okay. I really don't know what I did with it. That's funny. Um, well, I guess you guys get a few bonus sections. I mean, a few bonus seconds while I look for it. Oh, I don't know. I'm tired. Okay, I found it. As I was saying, I want to thank all y'all for tuning in. Thank you for your support. These numbers are going up. I have 187 subscribers as of this morning. I'm trying to get to 200 by the end of the week. Help me in my quest. Please like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. All of these things help boost me in the algorithm, and it helps people find me, because YouTube doesn't do your boy no favors and is really trying to cancel me, but I cannot be canceled. Remember when Victor from BB16 was like, I'm unevictable. I'm uncancelable, YouTube. So you can't cancel me. The people have spoken. And I will talk to y'all soon.
So you literally were one of my very first followers. And then when you followed me and I, followed back, I was like, this dude is cool. Like,
if they say talk to your manager, you just say, you know what, talk to the hand. You don't need to be on my podcast. But yeah, dude. Yeah, you do a great job.
Thank you. I always get a kick out of talking with you on Patreon. You have a really good, view on everything.
That wasn't planned.
You know what? But I like this Canadian.
Well, thank you.